Oops, that's the wrong message. Wait a second. Let me just erase that message. So I definitely don't want to send that number out. Hold on a second. Okay. Let me just check to make sure we are online, and then we are ready to go. Okay. That's it. Back to Zoom. All right, original sound on. Okay. Let's see, microphone. Okay. Same as system. Okay, got it. Okay, so happy Kartik for everybody. So what we're going to do at the beginning of the class during the month of Kartik is chant the Dhammadarashika, if that's all right. But I am going to chant it differently than you are all used to. It may not even be the same rhythm. And you'll have to forgive me if it's too much rock and roll for you. But it's going to, anyway, it's my style. And if you don't like it, you don't have to listen. That's up to you. Okay, so I'm going to chant the Dhammadarashika. And we're going to share a screen with Lord Damodar. Hold on a second. I think I have Lord Damodar somewhere in this material world. I had. Wait a second. I was just... Alright, pictures. Give me a second. Damodar Lila. Whoops. 1 second. Damodar Lila. There we go. Should be able to share this. Let me try my best. If I can't share it, I'll have to open it with another program. All right, let's try again. Oh, that's not going to work either. Yeah, anyway. We'll try this. There we go. Hey. Alrighty. Okay. All right, so here we go. And if you don't like my melody or my timing, what can I do? This is my method. Sache, ananda groove. Tukalan Tapamagatam Param Shama Janda Udu Jagoda Udandamu Unetra Yumang Jantau Karambuja Yumena Satakanedam Mahasasakam Bajere Antakanda Sitakraivam Damudaram Bhaktivanam Iti Lila Bear Ananda Kune Swatochani Majatama Jia Prayanam Kari Sita Geshu Dachakwam Unakrimatas Tamshada Deva Moksham Na Mokshadatma Nichanya Vrene Ambarishad Apira Idam Deva Purnata Gopalavana Sadame Manasya Right. Paramahansa Paramacharya Ostateta Santashi Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Chalanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Huilas Thakur Ki Jai, Param Se Kaho Shri Krishna Caitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha, Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhana, Shai Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Machuradam Ki Jai, Jagadada Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari 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 Bol. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deja Tarane. So anyway, so I'm going to read the translation to this poem, the English translation. To the Supreme Controller who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Madhya Shoda, who was ultimately caught to that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick, and his mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes. He shivered in fright, and his pearl necklace shook. To the Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, who was bound by his devotee's love, I offer my humble obeisances. Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drowned the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who were attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayan and Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodara, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation or eternal life in Vaikuntha nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruit due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow, and am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy upon me, uplift me, and protect me with your nectarian vision. O Lord Damodar, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Mani, Griva, and Nalakuvara, who are cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation and to your effulgence. O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and to your unlimited pastimes, Lord Damodar Ki Jai. So, now we'll go on to the Caitanya Caritamrta. I hope no one was offended by my rendition of the Damodar Ashtaka. Om Gana Timirandasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmeditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So now we're going to go on to the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, I believe we're on text 231 in the 16th chapter of the Madhya Lila. So let's continue on this first day of the month of Damodar Kartik. So, Ebiyade Mahaprabhu Shantipura Hela Shuniya Pitare Raghunatha Nivedila. When Raghunath Das learned that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had arrived in Shantipur, he submitted a request to his father. Ogyodehayana Deki Prabhura Chanana Anyatana Rahimora Shadhire Jivana. Raghunath Das asked his father, please give me permission to go to see the lotus feet of the Lord. If you do not, my life will not remain within this body. So, of course, Raghunath, just to give you a little history that we talked about before, Raghunath Das was eventually to become Raghunath Das Goswami, who was the Acharya of the Prayojana aspect of devotional service, and to show to us the topmost example of renunciation. Right now, at this particular juncture in the story, he is being held captive at home in his family, his very rich family, because they know he's trying to escape to join Lord Chaitanya, and they don't want him to escape to join Lord Chaitanya. So Raghunath Das is asking permission to see Lord Chaitanya. Of course, he's not going to escape at this time. You'll hear about this. Shunitana pitabahu loka darvyadya pathaila bali shigra asya piriya. Hearing this request, Raghunath Das's father agreed, giving him many servants and materials. The father sent him to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, requesting him to return soon. Of course, the father also sent guards to make sure that Raghunath didn't escape. Satadina Shantipure Prabhu Sange Rage Rachi Divase Manakatakahe. For 7 days, Raghunath Das associated with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shantipura, which is the place of Advaita Acharya, because Lord Chaitanya, as I mentioned before, didn't go home to Navadvip, Mayapur, because as sannyasi is not supposed to go home to his original village. It is prohibited. Why is it prohibited? Because there's attachments. Of course, Lord Chaitanya didn't have any material attachments, obviously, but the rest of us have material attachments. I'll give you a practical example in my own life, is that the first time I had Google Earth, for those of you who don't know what Google Earth is, too bad. I feel sorry for you. But the first time I had Google Earth, I zoomed in on my hometown that I was living in before I joined the Hare Krishna movement. And I zoomed into my house, and I just saw my house that I was so attached to, and then I understood, this is Maya. So anyway, during those days and nights, he had the following thoughts. Rakshakera hate muni kemane chutiba kemane prabhuda sange nilachaleyaba. Raghunath Das thought, how shall I be able to get free from the hands of the watchmen? How shall I be able to go with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Nilachal? Okay, next one. Saravagya Gauranga Prabhu Janitan Ramana Shiksha Rupe Kahitanre Ashvasavachana. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was omniscient, he could understand Raghunath Das's mind. The Lord therefore instructed him with the following reassuring words. Stirakana Gariyao Nahavatula Krame Krame Payaloka Bhava Sindhu Kula. Be patient and return home. Don't be a crazy fellow. By and by you will be able to cross the ocean of material existence. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was telling him, just be patient, don't act crazy, and we're going to hear more instructions in a second. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:1458, Samashitaye parapallavam sabam mahatmanam punya yasho murare pavambudervasa padam 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 yadvipadam natesham. This material world is just like a big ocean. It begins with Brahmaloka and extends to Patala Loka. And there are many planets or islands in this ocean. Not knowing about devotional service, the living entity wanders about this ocean just as a man tries to swim to reach the shore. Our struggle for existence is similar to this. Everyone is trying to get out of the ocean of material existence. One cannot immediately reach the coast, but if one endeavors, he can cross the ocean by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. One may be very eager to cross this ocean, but he cannot attain success by acting like a madman. He must swim over the ocean very patiently and intelligently under the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or his representative. Then one day he will reach the shore and return home back to God. And so there's many ways to understand this particular instruction and this particular pastime. One way to understand it, of course, is that Raghunath Das at this particular juncture had not yet approached Lord Nityananda, and you need Lord Nityananda's association and mercy to be able to give up the things of this world. That's one way to understand it. Another way to understand it is one's endeavor to become Krishna conscious. One should be really patient and not act crazy and prematurely think oneself one is on a platform of renunciation from this material world when there are so many needs that one needs to fulfill in order to proceed step by step in Krishna consciousness. Yes, it is a fact. Sometimes we think we can be like the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, but our needs may be on the platform of Ravan. Anyway, not quite that bad. Poor Ravan, he didn't even realize what his needs were, and he took the wrong strategy. But in any case, one should be intelligent and understand and fulfill one's basic needs, not think that one is more transcendental than they actually are. This is a very important point. Sometimes people think they are much more advanced than they actually are. Let me go back to this thing. And they think they can reach transcendence when actually they cannot reach transcendence because it's a step-by-step procedure. I mean, sometimes there are exceptions of someone who just like gets a really, really, really special mercy. Boom. But usually it's step by step. Look at Dhruva Maharaj. It was step by step for him. So don't jump like Hanuman. Big, big monkey, big, big belly. Ceylon jumping melancholy, as Prabhupada said. Makata vairagya nakara loka dehana yata yogya vishaya bunja anasaktahana. You should not make yourself a show bottle devotee and become a false renunciate. In other words, take care of your material things. For the time being, enjoy the material world in a befitting way and do not become attached to it. Very important. The word markata vairagya, indicating false renunciation, is very important. In this verse, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in commenting on this word, points out that monkeys make an external show of renunciation by not accepting clothing and by living naked in the forest. In this way, they consider themselves renunciants. That's actually quite funny. Like thinking of a monkey thinking, I'm renounced. But actually, they are very busy enjoying sense gratification with dozens of female monkeys, if they happen to be a strong monkey. If they're not strong male monkeys, they get kicked out, and they can't even have a harem. Such renunciation is called Markata Vairagya, the renunciation of a monkey. One cannot be really renounced unless one actually becomes disgusted with material activity and sees it as a stumbling block to spiritual advancement. That's important. Not simply negation of material activity, but you see that material activity actually is an impediment In other words, it's a positive thing. You want spiritual advancement, and you're focused, ekha kurandana, and then other things are impediments. Renunciation should not be falgu temporary. Falgu can be false. Actually, Prabhupada also refers to a river that appears to be dry, but it's running underneath the earth, the Falgu River. But should, in other words, one appears to be very renounced, but actually the material desires are running like anything below the surface. But one should exist throughout one's life. Temporary renunciation or monkey renunciation is like the renunciation one feels at a cremation ground. When a man takes a dead body to the crematorium, he sometimes thinks, this is the final end of the body, why am I working so hard day and night? Such sentiments naturally rise in the mind of any man who goes to a crematorial gata. However, as soon as he returns from the cremation grounds, he again engages in material activity for sense enjoyment. This is called Smasana Vairagya or Markata Vairagya. And it's very interesting. Sometimes people who go on a regular basis to the cremation ground, they don't have that realization anymore. They become callous to it. Just like one time I was having an operation. The operation was a cataract surgery. And somehow or other, I was conscious through the whole thing. I kept telling them, your anesthesia's not working. It ain't working, boys and girls. And I was thinking during this operation, as I was hearing everything, that even though they're operating on this material body and seeing the blood and the guts and whatever else is there, yes, I don't have a spiritual body, then still the doctors were so much interested in the nurses during the operation. Can you imagine? You're having an operation and the doctors are making eyes at the nurses while they're operating on you, and you're thinking, you know what, just pay attention to what you're doing. But, anyway, this is part of the material life. Actually, there's an interesting story that was just told to me today. It just came to my mind. How people are just like bewildered by this material energy. So here's the story. It was told by one of my godbrothers to me today. It said recently there was this man who was studying and actually practicing how to live longer in this world. And he was living, let's say, a super healthy life. He's 60 years old. And he ate the right things, slept the right amount, exercised the right amount, everything, perfectly. 60 years old, and he had the heart of a 30-year-old person. Not heart doesn't mean like emotions, but, the thing that pumps the blood. So he had the heart of a 30-year-old man. He was exercising, strong, muscles, everything like that. And he's thinking, I am good enough to live to 150. This was his plan. So he's jogging down the road. And he happens to jog past a tennis court. And in that tennis court, there's a whole bunch of young girls playing tennis. So he just can't keep his eyes off the young girls who are playing tennis. And as he's watching the young girls playing tennis, he's jogging, runs into the street, gets run over by a truck, and leaves his body. It was an interesting story. It's interesting because people are so attracted to things of this world. Anyway, just to give you an example. Just watch out what you're doing when you're jogging. In order to render service to the Lord, one may accept necessary things, but if one lives in this way, he may actually become renounced. But in other words, gradually, step by step, be honest with yourself. Don't think you are more than you actually are or more advanced than you actually are. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.108, it is said, Yavata Shatsva Nirvaha Svikuryat Tavarartavit Adhikye Nyunnatayam Cha Chavate Paramartataha. The bare necessities of life must be accepted, but one should not superfluously superfluously, increases necessities, nor should they be unnecessarily decreased. One should simply accept what's necessary to help one advance spiritually. And for each person, it's different. What you need to satisfy your needs, I'm not talking about desires, I'm talking about needs, is different from that which I need. Just everyone's different. Of course, we all have certain basic needs. I need air, you need air. I need food, you need food. But, it varies how in the application of the acceptance of those needs. In his Durgama Sangamadi, Srila Jiva Goswami comments that the word swa nirvaha actually means swa swa bhakti nirvaha. The experienced devotee will accept only those material things that will help him render service to the Lord. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-256, Markata Vairagya or Falgu Vairagya is explained as follows. Very famous verse. Prapanchakattaya buddhya harisambandhi vastunaha mumukshavi parityago vairagyam falgu katyate. When persons eager to achieve liberation renounce things related to the Supreme Personality of God and thinking them to be material, their renunciation is called incomplete. Whatever is favorable for the rendering of service to the Lord should be accepted and should not be rejected as a material thing. Yukta Vairagya, or befitting renunciation, is thus explained. Yukta means to accept. Vairagya means be without passion, to accept something without passion. Very, very important. Anasashaktaya, anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjata niranda Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagya muchyate. Things should be accepted for the Lord's service and not for one's personal sense gratification. If one accepts something without attachment and accepts it because it's related to Krishna, one's renunciation is called yukta vairagya. So yukta means to accept, like use, to connect, like yoga, same root. Vairagya means without passion or without the desire to be attached to it. Since Krishna is the absolute truth, whatever is accepted for his service is also the absolute truth. The word Markata Vairagya is used by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu to indicate so-called Vaishnavas who dress themselves in loincloths, trying to imitate Srila Rupa Goswami. Such people carry a bead bag and chant, but at heart they are always thinking about getting women and money. Money, money, money is the honey. Unknown to others, these Markata Vairagyas maintain women, but externally present themselves as renunciates. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was very much opposed to these Markata Vairagis, or pseudo-Vaishnavas. Antare nishtakara baye lokavya vakara achirat Krishna tamaya karibe udara. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu continued, within your heart you should keep yourself very faithful, but externally you may behave like an ordinary man. Thus Krishna will soon be very pleased and deliver you from the clutches of Maya. So this is a very important instruction. The real Krishna consciousness is internal. Whatever you're doing externally, your responsibilities, do it nicely. Prabhupada said, a devotee, when he was asked about the quality of a devotee, his followers, Prabhupada said they're perfect gentlemen and ladies. But internally, they're meditating upon Radha and Krishna within their hearts, and Srila Prabhupada within their hearts. Okay. Vrindavana dekhi abhyasiva nilachale tavitumiyama pasha asiha konachale. You may see me at Nilachala Jagannath Puri when I return after visiting Vrindavana. By that time you can think of some trick to escape. It's interesting, Lord Chaitanya is saying, act normally. Act normally. And basically, if you read between the lines, he's saying act normally so nobody suspects you, and then you can come up with a trick to escape. Let me see the word for escape here. By some pretext. Please come by some pretext. In other words, make some excuse or escape. Prabhupada here translates it as escape. Se chala se kale Krishna's burabe tamare Krishna kripa yanre tare ke rakite pare. Whatever kind of means you will have to use at that time will be revealed by Krishna. If one has Krishna's mercy, no one can check him. Wow. Although Srila Raghunath Das was very anxious to join Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord advised him to wait for the mercy of Lord Krishna, in other words, Lord Nityananda's mercy. He recommended that Raghunath Das keep his Krishna consciousness firmly fixed in his heart while externally behaving like an ordinary man. This is a trick for everyone advancing Krishna consciousness. This is really important instruction from Prabhupada. This is a trick for everyone, everyone's an absolute word, advancing Krishna consciousness. One can live in a society like an ordinary human being, but at the same time one's own business should be to satisfy Krishna and spread his glories. A Krishna conscious person should not be absorbed in material things for his only business is the devotional service of the Lord. If one is engaged in this way, Krishna will certainly bestow his mercy. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised Raghunath Das, Yatha yugya vishya bhunja anasakta hana. The same is repeated antare nishtakara vaye loka vyavahara. This means that one must have no desire within his heart other than to serve Krishna. On the basis of such a conviction, one can cultivate Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12200. Lokiki vaidiki vapi yakriya kriyate mune hari sevanukulaiva sakarya bhakti. A devotee may act as an ordinary human being or as a strict follower of the Vedic injunctions. In either case, everything he does is favorable for the advancement of devotional service because he is in Krishna consciousness. Eta kahi Mahaprabhu tanre vidaya dila garyasi Mahaprabhura shiksha acharila. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to Raghunath Das, who returned home and did exactly what the Lord told him to do. And we know later on, we know the story of he was able to escape, but that's later on, not for this portion of the Caitanya Charitamrta. Bharya Vairagya Vatulata Sakalachariya Yata Yogya Karya Kare Anasakta Hana. After returning home, Raghunath Das gave up all craziness and external pseudo-renunciation and engaged in his household duties without attachment. Deki tanrapita mata bada sukha poila tanhara havarana kichu shitila haila. When Raghunath Das's father and mother saw that his son was acting like a householder, they became very happy. Because of this, they slackened their guard. So, Prabhupada explains, when Raghunath Das's father and mother saw that their son was no longer acting like a crazy fellow and was responsibly attending to his duties, they became very happy. The 11 people, 5 watchmen, 4 personal servants, and 2 brahmanas, who were guarding him became less strict in their vigilance. When Raghunath Das actually took up his household affairs, his parents reduced the number of guards. That's interesting, tricky. According to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, trick him and get the heck out of there eventually. Ihan Prabhu ikatarkari sabha bhakta gana Advaita Nityanandadi Yata Bhakta Jana Savalingana Kare Kahena Goshani Savi Yajnageha Amini Lachaleyahi. Meanwhile, at Shantipur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assembled all his devotees, headed by Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu, embraced them all, and asked their permission to return to Jagannath Puri. Sabara Sahitani Hanamara Haila Milanha Evarshani Ladrikeya Nakariha Gamanha. Because he had met them all at Shantipura, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested all the devotees not to go to Jagannath Puri that year. Tahan Haiteya Vashyami Vrindavana Yava Sabeyagnya Deya Tabe Nirvigne Asiva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I shall certainly go to Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. If all of you give me permission, I shall return here again without difficulty. Mathara Charane Dari Baho Vinaya Kalila Vrindavana Yaite Tan Ragya Lahila. Clasping the feet of his mother, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very humbly requested her permission Thus she gave him leave to go to Vrindavana. Haribo. Tabi Navadvipe Tanre Dila Patana. Niladri Chalila Sange Bhaktagana Lana. Srimati Shachi Devi was sent back to Navadvip because she was visiting Shantipur, because the Lord couldn't visit Shantipur, which I just explained before. And the Lord and his devotees started for Jagannath Puri, Niladri. Se Sabalokapate Karena Sevana Sukhe Nilachala Ila Sachiranandana. The devotees who accompanied Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rendered all kinds of service on the way to Nilachala Jagannath Puri. Thus in great happiness the Lord returned. Prabhu Asi Jagannatha Darashana Koila Mahaprabhu I love Grame Kulahala Hoila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Jagannath Puri, he visited the temple of the Lord. News then spread all over the city that he had returned. Anandita Bhaktagana Asyami Lila Prema Lingana Prabhu Sabare Karila. Anyway. All the devotees then came and met the Lord with great happiness. The Lord embraced each of them in great ecstatic love. Kashi Mishra Ramananda Prajuna Sarvabhauma Varinatha Shikhi Adiyata Bhakta Gana. Kashi Mishra Ramananda Roy Prajuna Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya Varinatha Rai Shikhi Mahiti and all the other devotees met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gadadhara Bandita Si Prabhure Milila Sabara Grete Prabhu Kahite Lagila. Gadadhara Pandit also came and met the Lord. Then before all the devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to speak as follows. Vrindavana Yabahami Goradesha Diya Nijamatara Gangara Charana Dekiya. It was my decision to go to Vrindavan through Bengal in order to see my mother and the river Ganges. Eamate kare kailun godaram gamanta sahasreka sanghe ailanija bhakta gana. Thus I went to Bengal, but thousands of devotees began to follow me. Laksha, laksha, loka ase, kotuka dekite, lokera sankate pata na pari chalite. Many hundreds of thousands of people came to see me out of curiosity, and due to such a large crowd, I could not travel very freely on the road. Yatarahi tatagara pachirahaya churna yatanetre pade yatata lokadeki purna. Indeed, the crowd was so large that the house and the boundary walls of the house where I stayed were destroyed, and wherever I looked, I could only see large crowds. Kaste shrishye kari Kailana Ramakeli Grama Amaratani Isla Rupa Sanatana Nama. With great difficulty I went to the town of Ramakeli, where I met two brothers named Rupa and Sanatan. Dvibai Bhakta Krishna Kripa Patra Vyavahare Rajamantri Aya Raja Patra. These two brothers are great devotees and suitable recipients of Krishna's mercy. But in their ordinary dealings, they are government officials, ministers to the king. Vijabhakti Buddhi Bale Parama Pravina Tabu Apanake Mane Trinayate Hina. Srila Rupa and Sanatan are very much experienced in education, devotional service, intelligence, and strength, yet they think themselves inferior to straws in the street. Tanra Dainya Deki Shunipasana Vidare Amitushtahana Tabe Kahilundun Hare Utamahana Hina Karimanaha Panare Achire Karibi Krishna Tamaro Dare. Indeed, the humility of these two brothers could even melt stone. Because I was very pleased with their behavior, I told them, although you are both very much exalted, you consider yourselves inferior, and because of that, Krishna will very soon deliver you. So this is really important. A devotee's humility. That's the price. Trinadapi Sunichena Tarori Vasahishana Manida Manadena, Amanida Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. Such are the qualifications of a pure devotee. Materially, one may be very opulent, experienced, influential, and educated, but if one still thinks himself lower than straw in the street, one attracts the attention of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna. Although Maharaj Prataparuja was a king, he took up a broom to cleanse the road for Lord Jagannath's Rath chariot. Because of this humble service, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased with the king, and for that reason the Lord embraced him. According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, a devotee should never be puffed up by material power. He should know the material power is the result of one's past good activities, karma, and is consequently transient. Transient means here today, gone tomorrow, temporary. At any moment, all one's material opulence can be finished. Scary. It's true. Therefore, a devotee is never proud of such opulence. He is always humble and meek, considering himself lower than a piece of straw. Because of this, the devotees are eligible to return home back to Godhead. So what do we mean by opulence? It's not only money, it's different things. It's Janma Aishvarya Shutasya Shibir, one's birth, one is proud of one's birth. One's proud of course, there's money, which I already mentioned. Shutasya, one is proud of his learning. I am very intelligent. I'm very self-realized devotee. Or one is proud of one's bodily beauty. I think it was one of the two, Nakula and Sadev. I think it was Nakula. Nakula and Sadev. Anyway, the two sons of Madhya, Pandavas, one of them, was actually very attached to his handsomeness. That's described. And because of that, when Yudhisthira Maharaj was leading the Pandavas after they left their kingdom, he left his body, and it's described because of his attachment to his handsomeness. So we're attached to many different things in this world. Our cars, our handsomeness, our intelligence, our money, our friends, our jewelry, like the women sometimes are attached to their clothes and jewelry. So we should always be humble and meek, understanding what? Nirmana moha jita sangha dosha, everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavashyam idam sarvam yatkancha jagadam jagat tena takshena bunjita magridha kashasvidanam. Everything is owned and controlled by the Supreme Personality of God, and God lends it to you. And when He lends it to you, that's only for a short period of time. And then He takes it back and He lends it to someone else, or you get it again. But it ain't yours. Krishna says, I'm the intelligence of the intelligent, the strength of the strong. So, everything is coming from Krishna. Ham sarvasya parvama taksarvam pravartate matva bhajantivam buddhabhava samanvata. And therefore, machata madgata pranapani topodyantascha parasparam katyantascha bhamnacham tushanti cha ramanti cha. Because we're not proud that we can always be talking about Krishna. Of course, I'm not saying I'm not proud. I'm proud of my humility. Anyway, so let's just open it up for questions right now. We went up to 264. 64, okay. Let me just check this for a second. Okay. 231 to 264 today. 231 to 264, chapter 16. And we're going to be finished with this chapter pretty soon. Okay, let us unmute all you nice Vaishnavas, all you humble nice Vaishnavas, and we will allow you to ask questions. We'll allow you to unmute yourselves actually first. I'm not going to unmute everyone. So, if you want to ask a question, raise your hand. Oh, Sri Radhika has a question. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Haribol. So, what's the question?
Maharaj, we hear that in our process, the means and the end are the same. So the goal of chanting is more chanting. Um, and then I get confused because Yukta Vairagya is a very important principle in our practice.
Yeah.
And dovetailing our tendencies in Krishna's service. So, it's not like I mean, I like to, for instance, I may like to bike, so bike in Krishna's service. And my question, my doubt is how does Yukta Vairagya or dovetailing, um, lead into pure devotional service? Because the means and the end are supposed to be the same, but in this case, in the case of Yukta Vairagya, it doesn't seem like the means is going to get you to the end. In the end, the goal is complete detachment from anything that is, then the only motivation is what pleases Krishna. It's not about my motivations. Very
Yeah,
roundabout.
the goal is actually what pleases Krishna, and what pleases Krishna is to see you gradually advance in devotional service. So your Yukta Vairagya is pleasing Krishna because it keeps you steady in devotional service. Hopefully, your biking doesn't mean you're a motorcycle lady, but anyway, because that'll get you back to Godhead probably a little sooner than you had planned. But in any case, we look at the Yukta Vairagya as an adjunct to keep us steady. Just like, obviously it's not an eternal spiritual activity that you're going to be biking, but the biking actually uh, helps you fulfill certain material needs you have so that you can serve. So it's an adjunct. Just like if you have a automobile and you want to get to a certain destination. Actually, are you still there? I don't see you. If you have an
Yes.
automobile and you want to get to a certain designation, whoops, I don't. Oh, there you are. If you want to get to a certain destination, then whoops, then putting gasoline is an adjunct. It's an aid to getting to that destination. Even though the whole point is to get to the destination, not to put gasoline in the car. Or in my car, I charge it with electricity. So anyway, so the whole point is to actually get to the destination, and that's what the eternal thing is. The whole point is Krishna consciousness. So in the spiritual world, uh, the eternal activities are chanting, serving in different ways. Maybe there's bicycling in the spiritual world. I don't know. Never been there. So, but they're actually assisting us in getting to the destination. So in that way, they can be considered spiritual activities. Anything that helps you get to that destination. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavya, Brahmagno, Brahmano Tam, Brahma Tena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhanam. So that's my explanation. And it's an assistant. Just like one may have a broken leg and they use a crutch to get somewhere. So the crutch is helping us. So the Yukta Vairagya is helping us because we are crippled. I never used that example before. So, in other words, that's what it is. It helps us. So I hope that explains everything.
And it probably comes with a huge risk, right? That the means that you use, you can get attached to the means. And even when you get to the end, or yeah, it can prohibit you from getting to the end. I sometimes I just wonder, like I buy things or I use things saying it's Yukta Vairagya, but there's a lot of attachment.
Yeah, one has to be careful not to take more than one actually needs. There's a difference between needs and desires. Desires are unlimited. If you ask me, like, what type of car would you like? Then I would actually probably want one of the new electric Mercedes cars because I'm tired of the Tesla. So, so I would probably want a new electric Mercedes car. So that's a desire. So I have to. So instead, I have to not endeavor for anything that's beyond what I need, like a Tesla. But anyway, so I have to endeavor for. Actually, of course, that's over endeavor. Like if Krishna sends, like if I just like look out the door one day and there's a electric Mercedes there, I'll certainly use it at Krishna's service. But if I have to endeavor for it, I do a GoFundMe on the internet that Krishna Maharaj wants an electric Mercedes. It's only like $250,000. So that would be called over endeavor, over collecting. Like Achahara, Prayasas, Japa, Jalpa, Niyamagraha, a cause of fall down from devotional service. Actually, one of my disciples just sent me a oh my God, a URL for Lucid, which is actually a more expensive car. So, anyway, so one has to ascertain what you need, and not endeavor for more than you need. And if Krishna sends it to you without any endeavor, that's another thing. Like Prabhupada was picked up from the airport many times in a Mercedes, and then sometimes in a Rolls Royce. And then Prabhupada said, a gold Rolls Royce is not good enough for the spiritual master. But it's not that Prabhupada needed or wanted a gold Rolls Royce. Prabhupada would have been very happy in a Volkswagen. But, Prabhupada understood the principle the devotees had to respect the spiritual master. So, anyway, so we do have to be careful with Yukta Vairagya. Thinking you can use everything in Krishna's service. I mean, people can think that smoking marijuana helps them concentrate more on the holy names. I've seen people think like that. And so, yeah, one has to just be really careful. That's true. That's really true. Because the desires, avartam jnaname tena jnanino nichavayana kamarupena konteya dushparena lenacha, never satisfied, burns like fire. So you have to apply your intelligence. What do I actually need? And then, based on that, you endeavor for those things, but don't over endeavor. And if Krishna doesn't supply the things you need, then you have to figure out another strategy to fulfill those particular needs. So it takes some time. It takes some time and intelligence to ascertain these things. So, let's see. Some more questions. Hare Krishna. Well, let me answer the questions in the chat window. How to what to meditate one? What should one meditate on? Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Gurudev, Hare Krishna, please send my humble all glories to Prabhupada. Can I call you for 5 minutes after class? Oh my God. Urgent advice. All right, I'll call you, speak to you after class. Radnaleka, do our needs decrease as one advances? No, not necessarily, or remain the same. They should pretty much remain the same. Prabhupada said he needed tasty prasadam, and he was unhappy when the devotees gave him prasadam. Radhadesh is in Bengal. Radhadesh is actually in Bangladesh, as far as I know. And Radhadesh is also in Europe. It's one of our temples. What was the exact reason for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not to proceed to Vrindavan? The reason Lord Chaitanya didn't go to Vrindavan was that there was a crowd there, and he was advised by Srila Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, don't go to Vrindavan with a crowd. It's not auspicious. That's the reason. And Rishikesh, I think you had a question?
Yes, Gurudev, my question is a little bit out of context, if you don't mind. I just wanted to understand, in Bangladesh, they burned Srila Prabhupada's deities and broke the deities.
Hare Krishna, yeah. Please don't talk about the details right now. What about it?
I just wanted to understand the omnipotency of the Lord, how come the Lord can allow this? I mean, that's why, how do we understand this?
How can we understand it?
Yeah, I mean,
That the Lord sometimes is putting his devotees in distress I mean, you could look at it from an internal platform, putting his devotees in distress so that they will pray to him. Like what happened with the Pandavas in the house of Lac, it was burnt. Now I understand, the deity and, Prabhupada's deity and everything like that, but it's not that they burnt Prabhupada or burnt Krishna. That we understand that Krishna leaves and Prabhupada's presence isn't there when they burn the deity or they burn the murti or something like that. Krishna only appears when he wants to in a particular form, and the pure devotee also. So it's not that they burnt Prabhupada and they burnt Krishna. And Krishna left that particular situation. He wasn't burnt, obviously. And what was I going to say? And the devotees are. It's like Krishna's past in the battle of Kurukshetra or any of these heavy things that happen in all of our lives. I mean, we have devotees who get cancer. We have devotees who die from COVID, like you experienced. I've had many devotees die from COVID. My best friend passed away from COVID, as you know. And this is the nature of this material world, and it really brings it to the forefront for the devotees and helps them develop a more intense service mood. So we see devotees sometimes are put into great difficulty. And in South India and many places, when the Muslims attacked, I mean, many devotees were put into great difficulty. We cannot expect this world to be a nice place. And I'm not blaming any other religious group for this particular thing. So we also have to be careful of not blaming another religious group, because we do not want to incite communal violence, because Krishna consciousness is not based upon opposition to any particular religion, any particular nationality or anything like that. Krishna consciousness is meant to bring everyone together of all different religions to understand the unity of God consciousness, how different people express God consciousness in different ways. So that's why I'm not going to participate in any protests. I'm going to participate in encouraging the Bangladesh government to get to the bottom of this and protect the devotees. But as far as like protesting, if you protest, like synthesis, not synthesis, but if you thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, if you go to one side, then you're going to draw out more animosity on the other side. If we think that certain people are our enemies, then it brings. That's what I've seen, and I've even seen this in regard to the vaccine and anti-vaxxer things. When I've taken a very strong stand, it's agitated people on vaccination. It actually draws out the anti-vaxxers more. So we don't want to create more division in society than there already is. In fact, the people who instigated this particular thing in Bangladesh want to do that. There's actually a political motive behind this whole thing. Okay, we have to end now. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to answer Abhishek's question, but I have a schedule and I take care of my needs, believe it or not. Or I try my best to take care of my needs, because I take rest at a certain time. I have things that go on and schedule. I am regulated. Okay, thank you very much. All glory is to His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Kartik Bharata Ki Jai. Chant more, preach more, and immerse yourself in Krishna consciousness more this month. Hari Bol.